Phew, I made it all the way down to the bottom. Really steep steps. Okay, some historic wagons, which are very nice indeed. They definitely need to be more on display. And some grain sorting equipment by the look of it over there. Nobody's thought to put a mezzanine in. And here, lo and behold, we've got a horse's head at the end of the wagon. What? What's all that about? We've got some sledges, wooden sledges. Gets a bit drafty, I imagine, in this room. And, oh, we can step through here. Old fireplace, anyway. Maybe this would be a sauna. I'm seeing these branches, which you can't see because of the darkness. People do like to thrash themselves, don't they, with branches in saunas. So this was a multi-purpose kind of huge chuck everything in it room, was it? Oh, of course it wasn't. It was the threshing barn. That makes sense. The building consists of 3 parts: threshing floor, threshing barn with a stove, and a shed. It was built in 1885, reconstructed here in 1999. With a bit of dodgy mortar. It's the windmill in all its glory. This is a little bit bizarro, Mr. Pizarro. Or should I say Mr. Picasso? Well, that's different, isn't it? They actually cut out sections of the big stone and inserted, they must have, I think. That's a lot of work. And it's a shame it's not really worth it, is it? I wouldn't say. Not from my point of view, anyway. But what do I know? I might need a bit of information on the background of this. Oh, it's the wreck of a fragment of a shipwreck from an old sailing ship. Aha. So they've gone with reeds rather than those wood slats. It's a good thickness, isn't it? Different design on supporting the roof. And inside we have a nice little assortment of things in a spinner's bedroom and living room, presumably. Spinners and weavers. And an attractive decoration on the door. I wonder how comfortable those beds were. Back-breaking, probably. That's a sweet little chair. This is a barn. Oh, it looks as though it's a dwelling more than a barn, but still. We'll go with what it says here. Built in the first half of the 19th century, it was brought to the museum from the village Bushnieki, again in the Ventspils district, as you'd expect, rebuilt in 1959, and this time none of that nasty, ugly mortar which somebody decided to put in the other building. Here we have a sports boat, a boat made of one tree, and a lifeboat, a rudder, and a lee board. A lee board. Looks like a huge whalebone, doesn't it? No mention of the whalebone. Is this a patched up boat made from one tree? I think it might be. Looks like the candidate, doesn't it? And more anchors. We've got more anchors than cows in Ventspils. Who would have knew? Would you feel like setting out in a lifeboat in a storm? Like that boat there. I don't think I would myself. I wouldn't be brave enough. Here we are, brand spanking new roof. It's a bathhouse originally, the woodwormed bit at least. It was built in the first half of the 19th century. It was brought to the museum from, again, Buzniecki village, rebuilt in 1961. Mind your step. And there are the branches to thrash yourself with, because when it says bath, it means sauna. And getting in closer, we see almost nothing. Turn the light on. Very low ceiling. So again, the people must have been my height or less. I'm 5'4". So they must have been extremely short, or they were crouched over most of the time in there. Okay, they'd be sitting down, of course, but blimey, how many times did they bash their heads? A little bit of a puzzlement. Net's house, made of timber, built 1920 to 21, used for storage of fishing nets and other fishing tackles. Thinking this speaks to me of toilet, but maybe that's just me. I'm not in need of going just yet, but yeah, presumably put the door back on. That would serve as a toilet, wouldn't it? And over there we've got some beehives. Uli. Imagine going on a camping trip or your holiday with a motorbike or a bicycle, towing this thing. This is your summer kitchen, bathroom and sleeping room. Again, a fanciful notion, I know. But it's, what, a room for the animals? Because surely that's too low. Yeah, that's got to be for the animals. Ugh. Bending in half to look inside, and some troughs. little troughs, which means, I presume, oh hello, there's a hornet's nest. Don't want to go too close to that. Unless I want to end up in hospital, of course, and losing an arm. This one's not got any documentation attached, so chicken shed, maybe? Here we have another one with a fairly modern looking window and very low cooking pot. Dark and spooky. Don't remove and carry out furniture. Well, guess what? I've got no room in my backpack for it, so it's staying where it's put at the moment. Can't vouch for other visitors though. Yeah. Ooh, those nice big black boots again. Fisherman's fancy. Sure enough, dwelling house of fishermen. Built in the first half of the 19th century. When were those boots made? The house of poor fishermen. Rebuilt in 1959. Well, I don't know if you could call him a poor fisherman if he had a pair of boots like that. They were probably much prized as perhaps his most valuable possessions, apart from the boat and the nets and things. But ooh, let's reach right in, see what we can round the corner. And his wife was busy there making all kinds of linen and whatnot, watching the big clock, waiting for her husband to return, hopefully safely, but separate beds. Oh, there's a baby in the cot. Okie dokie. Coming out the other side, a barn. Another 19th century, we can call it 200-year-old barn. Again, Bushnieki is the village, which was raided and had some of its buildings stolen. Fortunate to almost have the place to myself again today. Anchors of sailing boats from the 18th and 17th centuries, given to the museum in 1959 and 72, and allowed to rust in peace. See the play on words that I did there? Yeah, it wasn't very clever, I know. Wasn't intended to be. Just came out like that. Looking forward to seeing those little beehives closer up shortly. But first, we have Smiltnieki dwelling house. Typical suburban village dwelling house of the last quarter of the 19th century. Okay, another one relocated, and whew, you can see straight away that entrance, tiled roof. Blimey, these people have done well out of fishing, haven't they? oh, this is lovely. The lights have come back on again. And we can see all the pots and pans. Door. Some nice bits of brasserie, which isn't really brass. And the big stove. Isn't that super? Even had a contraption for their eggs. I wouldn't mind living in a house like this, you know. Again, oh, it can't go out this way, but it's for people under 5.5 feet tall. If there's a modern high-powered shower in here, it's old. I'll take it. Okay, I've obviously got some later editions in terms of the children's toys and the pram. Modern style of pram, relatively modern, from what, 50s. A radiogram in the corner. Nice bit of heating going on there. And some clothes pegs. Historic clothes pegs. Oh, tickling sticks. Tickle and tease your fish. Or your missus. Next to the coats, of course, you're going to have hanging up a saw and a mini hoe and a cowbell. It's obvious, isn't it? And oh, can go in here as well. Oh, lovely. I think we have saved the best till last, never mind the windmill. This is a lovely home interior. And that feature would have kept the place definitely warm, wouldn't it? Oh, don't make those eyes at me, young lady. I'm not worthy of you. And a lottery box. I don't know what would go in there. No, probably not for the lottery. And, oh, mind your head. Yeah, I just make it. Wouldn't it be nice to see whether this was the original family? Photos on the wall suggest that it was, but we'll never know. And every room has its own heating. That's got to be a plus, hasn't it? Lovely. Gosh, that's just so simple but so pleasing to walk through. You've got to be here because I'm sure it looks probably quite dull on the video. Barn, only it's more than a barn. Gosh, some lovely old wagons here. Carriages, I should call them, not wagons. And some lovely sleighs, particularly that one up in the corner at the back. Oh, I am allowed to step inside. But yeah, then the light goes. Another nice sleigh up there. Gosh, these really need renovation and restoration. Good clean-up, don't they? It's almost a shame that they're being left to such an extent. Or at least if they polished up some of them, That would be nice. So this is the blacksmith's house, but it's now being used to accommodate all kinds of bits and pieces. The smithy, taken from a different homestead this time, a different village. Brenzniecki homestead in the village of Rapity. 19th century, brought here in 78. Oh, and it's even got its name, the name up at the top. The name was retained. The village clock. Did villages have clocks like this, I wonder? Back in the late 19th century, maybe? Clock of Zleku estate. Oh, placed at the entrance of the estate. Made by the local blacksmith. Perhaps in that very building over there. And brought to the museum in 1962. And I guess it chimed, judging by the presence of that big stone. Can't get up inside to have a look, but oh, it's glass. So we can see the mechanism here. Complete with mechanism. That's nice, but just a shame it's unreliable. It's an unreliable timekeeper. And back to the honey house, where we can't get in, but maybe you can get round the back to have a look at the beekeepers' little hives in the back garden. No bees. Is that meant to stop bees coming in? No bees allowed. Do not touch the hive. I think that's pretty wise advice, just generally in life. Do not touch the hive, unless you know what you're doing. So we've got the back of the house here. For some reason that house is locked up, but this is what we're interested in looking at anyway, isn't it? It's the beehives. Cute. We've got the history of beekeeping here, I think. I wonder if the bees get confused and start settling in. Must be tempting because, as you can see here, for example, the front door's been left open. What's going to stop the bees? Not that sign, that's for sure. What does this say? This is an interesting looking hive thing. Bluka stavstrops. Something about 1985, but yeah. That may have a slightly different purpose to do with the honey making, or what they do once they've nicked the honey and stolen it from the bees. Oh, I can see a fella here trying to get in. Let me in. I left my backpack. No. Sorry, no bees allowed. But I forgot my honey. One jar on the kitchen table. Sorry, no bees allowed. That looks as though it's a beehive made from what was once a small pianoforte or something. That would be fun if it was. Quite a collector's item. Now, maybe this is a little bit too super nerdy. Is it nerd? It's nerd atrocious. The man just keeps filming all kinds of nonsense. Now he's got a thing about beehives. Well, I've always had a thing about beehives. What a super selection. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. If you can get that close to that many beehives and not get stung when you're not wearing any protective clothing, then it's a pretty good day. Whew. I'll tell you what, it's a pretty hot day. Whew. I could do with a nice cold drink of fresh water. But maybe not. Peter Rabbit. And now the house, oh, it's the administrator's house. I bet it's nice working in there, when anybody does do any work in there. Don't mean that as a derogatory comment, it's just it doesn't look as though it could be accessed at the moment, even by the administrator. Some lovely flowers. And I might just stop for a moment on this bench. Stop and smell the tulips. But I think I'll have a little drink. I'll sit down and just relax and enjoy the moment, because it's nothing like a real village, of course, but the bringing together of these old wooden houses in a funny sort of way creates an impression on you, doesn't it? Not that I can sit here and pretend, oh, I'm in the village market square. Of course not. But I can enjoy the atmosphere of relaxation. Continuing relaxation, because it's been a very relaxing trip so far. Time really does seem to fly, doesn't it? Certainly on a day like today, it's flown. I can't believe it. 7:30? No, not really. But it is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and where's the time gone? That's the joy of relaxation, I suppose, when you're walking around a lovely place like this. Time will just stop still, metaphorically speaking, but it will pass quickly because you're alone with your thoughts much of the time, while still taking in so many interesting historical things. What a beautiful place. Come to Ventspils and enjoy the open air museum. I'm not sure how much more there is for me to enjoy, because I think I've just about been everywhere here. The good old days. There's the wagon. course, you know what I'm thinking. I'm now thinking, oh, I wish I had kept in mind the thought of having a little ride on that train. But unfortunately, when I saw the infrequent departure times, it made me just forget completely about the idea of trying to specifically be in this spot to catch a ride. I thought I'd just please myself by maybe getting some video footage of the engine in progress going around the park. Yeah, if my timing had just been a little bit different, or if I'd thought it through, but you know what? That means there's always another time to come back to Ventspils. Meanwhile, I think I might take a little walk in this direction. What a foolish man. I nearly forgot the camera. Blimey. How many anchors can you get into one shot? We've got 5 here. Would you Adam and Eve it? Here's the little engine again, having to go extremely slowly, of course. I wonder if this is a different engine though. No, I think it's the engine which we saw just now. Going around for a second glimpse of all the sea park's appealing features. Speaking of which, you'll remember that jungle park seemed to be half closed off. In fact, completely closed off at one end. Well, you could enjoy the other end of it, but if you can't be bothered, or if it does end up with the whole thing being closed off, you've got this here, and it's all for free. Can you believe it? If you're a kid, if you're adventurous, it's all for free. Why not? When swings just aren't enough. Pirate ship-tastic. That's what we call this. Pirate ship-tastic. I'm just leaving the park now, and I saw a sign for underwater flower sculpture, or flower sculpture called Underwater. And on the way to it, I saw this. Your guess is as good as mine. Now I think I might start taking the long walk home via the supermarket to pick up tonight's supper. I think it's going to be chicken and beetroot salad. Well, this isn't a bad part of the walk home, is it? Not bad at all. I've walked away from the sea park area, walked along Ingenieru Ayala, and I'm now coming to the end. I guess I've come to the end of Bezu Ayala. This is a nice little park. Well, nice big park, I should say. And because there's so little traffic, easy to navigate. Heading back to check out the progress on that cow, I've got to admit it. However insane it sounds, I do want to see that cow in, I was going to say cow in clover. Not in clover, but in flower before I go. Tomorrow, my bus is at 2:25 in the afternoon, which means it's just as well that I chose a hotel which has a checkout up till 2 in the afternoon. Not as stupid as I look and sound, eh? Is that really a sheep? Sheep's is in the meadow. Looks like they are supposed to be sheeps. Or sheep-eye. No. Or goats. Or a frog on legs. It's very straight legs. No, curly-horned rams. Spooky sculpture. What a huge, beautiful big park. And tomorrow, this journey is only about, hour and a half, is it? Something like that, I think. I'll be staying on the wrong side of the tracks again, of course. Save a lot of money. Makes sense, doesn't it? When people say to me, how can you afford to travel all the time? I ask, how can I afford not to? How much did today cost me? I'm not paying for electricity bills, gas bills, not paying for Wi-Fi, not paying for water, not paying for any sort of local city community tax, building maintenance. I think I'm still managing to find reasonably good deals in this part of Europe, at least anyway. Long may that continue. And you know what? I've only seen another bull on the horizon. And not the one with flowers either. This afternoon can't get much better, can it? Super. Well, now I just feel ridiculous. How on earth did I manage to mix this up and think it looked like a bull from a distance when it's obviously a big blue thing instead? Maybe a blue version of my silly hat. Kind of looks the same, doesn't it? But without the hole in my version. Here's a tree. Going places. Going all over the places by the look of things. Very clean, broad-streeted and likeable. That's how I would describe Ventspils. More than just a beach. Can't ask for much more, I don't think. I found that the river stops and that little canal goes into a big pipe and a pathway becomes available to me. Talk about lucky. As long as the herd put up with me, I can film them without them taking umbrage. Don't want to be stampeded and gored by 4 marauding, hot-blooded longhorns, do I? That's a nice little treat. Something I didn't expect I'd be able to get. Up close and personal with cows. Sometimes nature can be enhanced by the hand of man and woman. And there's an example. What a gorgeous walk. And we made it. That wasn't too bad, was it? Lovely to walk in such fine conditions and with such nice scenery. we can see our friend here has sprouted, not wings, but a combination of flowers, I think. Pretty little pink and red flowers and some green leaves. That's a whole lot of wood. Thousands of felled trees over there. Wind turbines over in the background. We have our friend, the Venta River, and here's Ventspils, 1963. Here's the bridge. This is the only vaguely appealing part of the walk back to the hotel. I would say the next 25 minutes, not so great. If you're looking for photo opportunities, but perfectly fine if you're just wanting the exercise, want to feel the breeze, which you certainly can as you approach the bridge here. Get a nice little harbour view. Shame there are no trains to speak of on show, but like we say, we can't have everything our own way, can we? That would just be greedy. I guess it's time to say adios. Last day in Ventspils for me. Last video I'm going to make here in the town. I could easily have stayed longer, and I would suggest anybody who's on the road and is looking for a place where they won't be over tempted by things like socializing in a hostel, nightlife, events going on, and especially because it's the place where I've been staying and I've been very happy there, I would strongly recommend the Stradnieku Viesnica, because the Wi-Fi is great, it's quiet, you got your own table and chairs in the room, at least in my humble room, and you can really catch up on doing those things that you need to do, whether you're a graphic designer, whether you're vlogging, for example, and you're looking to do some video editing in a quiet space, because once you jump back into hostel life again, you know, you're not going to have that privacy, are you? So, time to say cheerio, and as I've now just started to become accustomed to saying, if you could press that like button, even if you didn't like the video, I don't mind, I'm not fussy, I'm easy. And if you could subscribe, that would be even better. Got a long way to go on subscriptions, haven't I? But then I've got a lot to learn about making videos. Hope you enjoyed this one, or elements of it, and hope you look out for the next one. That will be way up higher. Until the next time.